Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to study about building RAG and different forms of RAG that we have in the program. So we have different types of RAG that a person might build. That naive RAG, that is the basic one that you have. You ingest the data inside the vector store, and then as you know, you retrieve based on the question that the user asks, you retrieve the relevant documents or relevant chunks and then give an answer to the user. So that is the basic RAG that a person might build. So this diagram over here shows you the basic structure. What happens is that the user asks a question, we embed this question, and then we do this question is then used to retrieve the relevant documents or relevant chunks based on the number of classes that we might want. In this situation, we might want to have like five classes, and then once we retrieve those chunks over there of documents, we give it to a system prompt. Now, this system prompt, what does it do? We combine the system prompt plus the chunks that were retrieved, and then we give it to an LLM. This LLM, what it does is that it generates a response, and that response becomes the answer to the question that the user might have asked. So that is basically what this naive RAG does. So just to show you the code, I'm going to run it just so you can understand what is happening. I'm going just watch what is going to happen over here. There are certain steps that I don't want you to miss. Okay, I'm scraping the documents to store them so that I can store them inside the vector store. So once we scrape them, we store them inside a vector store, and then also the PDF document that I have over here, hysterectomy, that's the removal of uterus. That this you can just, and then we embed them. That is means that we're storing them cosine similarity inside the vector store, and then now we retrieve the top 5 clusters chunks based on the question that the user might ask. Now we are going ahead using ChatGPT 4o to answer the question that the user might have asked. So this is the answer. So these are the steps: laparotomy and development of the visual field. You get. I'm not going to go over the response that will be given here. You can just read it through the. Once you have the program, you can just go ahead and read it. But yeah, you can always change the documents and use whatever you have over their side, and also change the prompts. So these are the basic structures. So I'm just going to show you the code over here. So the first step that I told you is scrap the website. This is the website that we have over here, the number of classes that we might have over here, the model that is here. And then what it does next is once we scrape them, we have to build a vector store. What do I mean over here? So the documents that you might have needs to be embedded. That needs to be broken into small chunks, embedded, stored inside the vector store. The vector store is just a database of the words that are relevant to the words that that are in this document and also in the website over there. So once we do that, the next step is retrieve the chunks. That is based on the question that the user might have asked over here. You retrieve the certain number of chunks. You can't retrieve everything, because if you give everything to the prompt, that becomes a problem. It's just the prompt might say that you have exceeded a certain amount of words, and now it becomes a problem for me to actually answer your question. So once we do that, we compute the cosine similarity against all stored chunks, and then return the top k matches based on the question that the user might have asked. And then once we do that, we have to return the chunks that are relevant here. The documents or chunks, whatever is the one that works for you, we just have to return it. Then once we return those words, we give it to the last step, that is the generator. What it does is that it has a prompt, as I showed you in the diagram over here. This is a system prompt. You're a medical assistant, you are a medical QA assistant. Answer the user's question using only the context provided. If the context doesn't match, does not contain enough information, then I don't know. So do not use any prior knowledge. Just answer it based on the context that you've been given. So once it has been given over there, it answers the user's question and then returns a response. So I built a pipeline over here that combines all those functions, the scraper, the one that, and then once we scrape the document, we store it inside the vector store, and then we retrieve the relevant chunks based on the question that the user might ask. You know, as you see over here, the question is the first part. This vector store is the next part. So once you build a vector store, return that ID. Based on that ID and the question, we retrieve the relevant chunks, and that chunk becomes the context. That context is the one that will be used to answer the question based on the prompt, and then we get our answer. So it's a sequence of activities that we have to do. Of course, the process of doing this one over and over again becomes expensive. So once you build this part over here, you can always get the vector store ID and store it over here, and then you just answer the question. Unless you want to keep on refreshing the knowledge, you're free to go ahead and just use that vector store. So yeah, this is the first track that I've shown you. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk about hierarchical RAG. So thank you for watching this. Watch out the next tutorial to understand much more.